At my daughter's wedding, her fiancé dumped a bucket of trash on me and shouted, "Here's the soup you wanted, beggar!" I was livid, but I stayed still, covered in garbage. Then, a guest pointed at me and yelled, "He's a billionaire!" My new son-in-law's face went white on the spot. And you won't believe what he did next. Before we keep going, please subscribe to the channel and drop a comment with where you're listening from. The Singapore deal was slipping away, and I had 30 minutes to protect 15 million. My hands shook a little as I worked 3 phones at once. Papers were scattered across my cherry desk like autumn leaves. Coffee had gone cold hours earlier, yet caffeine still buzzed in my veins. When my personal phone lit up with Mia's name, I almost ignored it. Business first. Always business first. Then guilt hit like a gut punch. My daughter rarely called in the middle of the day. "Dad, oh my gosh, I have incredible news." Her voice fizzed through the speaker, breathless. "I'm engaged. Can you believe it? Chad proposed last night at this amazing little place in Jersey City. And it was perfect. Absolutely perfect." The contract in my hand suddenly weighed nothing. Engaged! The word came out strangled. "Sweetheart, that's... When did this happen?" "Last night. I wanted to call right away, but it was so late, and I knew you'd worry if I rang after midnight. Dad, he's amazing. He's funny and so charming. He makes me feel like I'm the only person in the room." Red flags. Every instinct I'd honed in 25 years of deals started flashing. Fast proposals, charm without substance. Making her feel singular. Classic manipulation patterns. "That's wonderful, honey." I forced warmth into my voice while my free hand moved to the keyboard. "Tell me about him. What's his full name again?" "Chad Parker. He works in marketing in New Jersey. He's super ambitious, Dad. He talks about branching into New York, maybe opening his own agency. Chad Parker." My fingers flew. LinkedIn profile. Basic. Generic. A few group photos at company events. Standard headshots. Nothing meaty. No real achievements listed. No notable connections. For someone so driven, his digital trail was paper thin. "Dad? Are you there?" "Sorry, sweetheart. Just taking it in. This is big." I combed through more results. Nothing. Either he was very private or very unremarkable. I'd love to meet him. "Actually, that's why I'm calling. He wants dinner tomorrow night. His parents will be there too. Isn't that sweet? He wants you to meet the whole family. Tomorrow. Perfect." I'd be honored, but Mia, I need a favor. "Anything, Dad. Don't mention my job. Not specifically." I chose my words carefully. I'd rather meet them without complications. She laughed, that music that had brightened my world for 26 years. "You want them to like you for you, not for your money? Dad, that's adorable." "Of course. I'll just say you're in renewable energy." Smart girl. She understood without me spelling out the gold digger concern. "Thank you. Text me the details. Love you, Dad. You're going to adore him. I promise." The line went dead. I stared at Chad's LinkedIn photo. Cocky smile, pricey haircut. Eyes that didn't match the grin. Every alarm bell in my head blared. My assistant knocked. "Mr. Miller, Singapore is on line 1. I glanced at the contracts, then back at the screen. 15 million versus my daughter's future. No contest. "Tell them I'll call back in an hour." 26 years of protecting her, and now some smooth talker thought he could just walk in. I enlarged the photo, studying every inch. Tomorrow night I'd find out exactly what kind of man my daughter had chosen. The question was, would he pass the test he didn't know he was taking? Chad's face faded as my eyes drifted to the silver frame beside my monitor. Emily smiled back at me, frozen at 24, radiant in her wedding dress, unaware she had less than 3 years left. The hospital had smelled like antiseptic and broken dreams. I'd held Mia for the first time, while Emily's hand cooled in mine, her wedding ring still warm against my palm. That ring now sat in my safe at home, but its weight never left my finger. "I promise," I'd whispered to that wrinkled little face. "I'll protect you from everything." Everything turned out to be a lot. 3 a.m. feedings, while reviewing pitch decks by lamplight. Mia's first sentence wasn't mama or dada. It was dada work, said from her high chair, while I typed furiously with one hand and spooned mashed carrots with the other. Babysitters quit faster than I could replace them. My schedule was chaos. Investor breakfasts, conference calls during nap time, product meetings until midnight. I built Bright Peak Energy from our townhouse garage while Mia napped in her carrier, her tiny fist wrapping my thumb as I sketched solar layouts. "Why do you work so much, Daddy?" 5-year-old Mia asked, coloring beside my desk, while I finalized our first $1 million contract. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was building a fortress to protect her, and she was growing up watching me disappear into it. Teen years brought defiance. "You don't trust anyone," she'd yelled after I quietly checked out her prom date. "You think everyone wants to use me?" She wasn't wrong. I'd seen too many men circle money like sharks, smiles, charm, then the bite. I taught her the tells, too much interest in where we lived, questions about my company, sudden availability when pricey restaurants were mentioned. I also taught her independence, college at UCLA, environmental science because she cared, not because it matched my business. Her job at Greenrise barely covered her Queens apartment, and she refused my help. "I need to know I can make it myself, Dad." Now she was 26, brilliant and kind and trusting everything Emily had been, everything I'd tried to protect, while the world tried to twist it. My phone alarm chimed. 8:15 p.m. Dinner plans for tomorrow needed real prep. I closed my laptop and looked out at the Washington, D.C. skyline, lights like scattered stars. Somewhere out there in a thrift store or discount shop was the costume I'd need for tomorrow night. If Chad Parker thought he could coast into my daughter's life without proving his character, he was about to learn otherwise. I'd spent decades shielding Mia from wolves in nice suits. Tomorrow I'd find out if her fiancé was a wolf or a shepherd. The test was about to begin. My alarm went off at 6:30 a.m., but I'd been awake an hour, staring at the ceiling of my deliberately modest bedroom. Today, Jack Miller, billionaire CEO, would disappear. In his place, a middle-class dad would show up. I rolled out of bed and took in my 200-square-foot apartment, carefully curated normal. An Italian espresso machine sat beside a chipped convenience store mug. Thrifted furniture mixed with estate sale pieces. Even my disguise had layers. I pushed aside hand-tailored suits, worth more than commuter cars. Behind them hung the real costume. Worn jeans, faded polo, scuffed sneakers. I'd practiced this change before during undercover market research for Bright Peak. Amazing how people treat you when you look ordinary. But tonight called for more than casual. I needed a full outfit. Good finds, a thrift store on Halsted Street, sat between a laundromat and a check cashing shop. Perfect. The elderly clerk looked up from her romance novel as the bell jingled. "Need help, honey?" "Interview clothes," I said, a little sheepish. "Been out of work a while. Need to look respectable on a budget." Her face softened. "Oh, sweetheart. We've got some nice things in back." "What size?" 20 minutes later, I had my look. A navy suit with tired elbows, a polyester blend past its prime, black shoes that pinched, and a try-hard tie. "This jacket is just right," the clerk beamed. "Makes you look distinguished. Any boss would be lucky to have you, if only she knew she was dressing a man worth $15 billion. Thank you. This means the world." The total came to 18.43. I paid exact change, small bills counted out. Her kind smile nearly broke me. Back home, I practiced in the mirror, shoulders a little rounded, the confidence of someone watching every dollar, voice softer, hands folded rather than leading. I Googled average salaries for renewable energy consultants in Northern Virginia. $65,000 a year. Comfortable, not rich. Perfect. My rental showed up at noon, a 6-year-old Honda Civic with a coffee stain on the passenger seat. I'd asked for the most ordinary car. The Tesla stayed in the garage. Final checks, cheap Timex instead of a Rolex. Wallet with mid-limit cards. A couple of family photos suggesting a loving but cash-tight single dad. I met my own gaze one last time. Jack Miller, energy consultant and devoted father, ready to meet his daughter's fiancé. The drive to North Jersey would take 5 hours. 5 hours to rehearse the performance of my life. Mia's happiness was on the line, and I wouldn't let some charmer jeopardize what Emily and I built. I started the engine, practiced my opener, and merged into traffic. Nice to meet you, Chad. Mia's told me so much. Simple words. But by night's end, I'd know if this man deserved my daughter, or if I'd have to open her eyes without breaking her heart. The test was about to begin. The Civic's engine ticked as it cooled in the lot of the Copper Olive. 6 hours in the driver's seat made my back ache. But the real pain was what came next. Through the windows, I saw warm light and couples sharing wine. Normal people living normal lives. I adjusted the shiny polyester tie and checked the side mirror. The man looking back seemed tired, a little overwhelmed. Exactly the look I needed. Jack Miller, humble consultant. Ready to meet his daughter's future in-laws. The hostess barely glanced up. Table for one? Actually, I'm meeting the Parker party. Should be 5 of us. Her expression warmed. Oh yes, they called. Running a few minutes late. She led me to a corner booth. I slid into the worn vinyl and pretended to wince at the menu prices. Another layer. An 18 Caesar. In my real life, I'd spent more than that on one coffee this morning. Dad! Mia burst in like sunshine, joy contagious even through my nerves. Behind her came a man who had to be Chad. Perfect hair, confident stride, expensive watch flashing under the lights. His parents flanked him like security. Everyone, this is my father, Mia beamed. Dad, this is Chad, and his wonderful parents, Greg and Linda. Chad's handshake was firm, while his eyes did a quick audit. Cheap suit, scuffed shoes, unsure smile. The corner of his mouth tugged up. So, you're the famous father-in-law. Mia's told me so much. Just enough condescension to sting. Love the vintage look. Greg's grip nearly crushed my fingers. A dominance test I'd seen 1,000 times. What line of work keeps you busy, Jack? Small renewable energy consulting. Nothing thrilling. I shrugged, a little apologetic. Just trying to pay the bills. Doing something that matters. Linda's smile was sharp. Oh, how noble. Not everyone can afford to work for causes rather than profit. The waiter arrived, pen ready. Chad cut me off. He'll have minestrone. Something easy on the wallet. He winked at Mia. Don't worry about dinner, Mr. Miller. My treat. Every cell in my body wanted to order the priciest item and cover the table with cash. Instead, I forced gratitude. That's very generous. Thank you. Conversation flowed around me like acid. Little jabs disguised as concern, jokes at my expense that made Mia squirm. Chad bragged about marketing wins, each story framed to emphasize my supposed smallness. Your dad's so practical, he told Mia, loud enough for me to hear. It's refreshing to meet someone so grounded. Linda nodded. Salt of the earth folks keep the rest of us humble. I met Mia's eyes. She looked mortified but stuck, trying to rescue a night unraveling by the minute. My daughter's happiness was on the line, and these people treated me like a charity case. The soup arrived lukewarm and overly salty. I ate with good manners while Chad outlined his plan to help Mia manage her money after the wedding. She's so idealistic, he chuckled, working at that little nonprofit instead of making real cash. But I'll straighten her out. That's when I knew. He saw my daughter as a project, not a person. The check landed. Chad performed generosity, loudly discussing tip percentages while I stayed quiet. Outside, I caught Mia's arm. Can we talk? The parking lot felt like a stage under fluorescent lights. Cool April air smelled like rain, and Chad's voice drifted from his car, where his parents clustered like courtiers. Mia's face was already defensive. Dad, if you're about to lecture me... Sweetheart, how long have you really known Chad? I kept it gentle. 6 months, and before you say that's not enough, I know what I feel. Did you hear how he talked to the waiter? How he ordered for me without asking? Her jaw set. He was being protective. He didn't want you stressed about money. Honey, I've been around long enough to recognize condescension. I touched her shoulder. I've seen how good men act, and tonight. Tonight what? He paid for dinner. He was generous. He performed generosity. It's not the same. She stepped back, eyes hot. Like you, working constantly? working. Never dating? Never letting anyone close enough to hurt you? The words hit hard. That's not fair, and you know it. Maybe it's not, but it's true. You can't stand that I'm choosing my own life, not living safely under your umbrella. Her voice had risen. Chad glanced over, smirking. His satisfaction made my stomach twist. I'm scared you're choosing someone who doesn't see your worth, I said quietly. Maybe that's my mistake to make. Tears brimmed. Maybe I need to learn my own lessons, not live in fear of what might go wrong. Traffic hummed in the distance. My daughter stood there, stubborn and certain, just like her mother at that age. I pulled her close. She resisted, then softened. If he makes you happy, truly happy, I'll respect your choice. The words tasted like ash. I love you more than my opinions. Really, you mean that? I do. The lie came easier than I expected. I just want you sure. I am, Dad. I really am. She hugged me tight and I memorized it, my girl choosing her path. We walked back. Chad straightened that smirk back. Everything okay? Looked serious. Just father-daughter talk, I said evenly, trading perspectives. Well, that's family, right? His smile never reached his eyes. I'm sure we'll get along great once you see how much I care about Mia. I nodded and shook hands, playing my role. But as I watched my daughter leave with a man who saw her as something to manage, I made a silent vow. The wedding would be my last chance, a final test to confirm what I already knew, or a chance for him to surprise me. The drive back to my hotel stretched like a sentence. 3 months blurred by. Mia's weekly calls overflowed with wedding talk centerpieces, quartets, cake tastings that cost more than most people's rent. Each conversation felt like a countdown. July 15th brought heat and a stack of mail I'd avoided. Company bills I barely noticed, charity asks I could fund with one call. And there it was, thick cream cardstock that made my chest tighten. The invitation was exactly what I expected. Expensive paper, gold letters, formal phrasing, screaming old money pretensions. Mr. and Mrs. Greg Parker request the pleasure of your company at the marriage of their son, Chad Alexander, to Miss Mia Rose Miller, Maple Ridge Manor. I Googled it. 50,000 minimum. Photos showed manicured gardens and a ballroom fit for corporate galas, far beyond what a mid-level marketer and his logistics manager father should spring for. Unless they were betting everything on this wedding, counting on my daughter's last name to justify the splurge. My phone buzzed. Executive assistant. Mr. Miller, should I book first class for your August 3rd flight to New Jersey? Coach, keep it modest and clear my weekend. A pause. Sir, the quarterly board meeting is Monday. Move it. Family first. Yeah, I hung up and opened my closet. Past suits worth more than some condos. In the back, in plastic like a shrine to deception, hung the thrift suit, the navy jacket with slightly shiny lapels, polyester pants that never quite fit. 3 months ago, it was a test. Now it felt like armor. I tried it on. New lines had etched around my eyes from months of dread. But the suit still did its job, still made me look like a man scraping by, outclassed by his daughter's new circle. My laptop chimed, a Google alert I'd set months ago. Chad Parker, New Jersey. Still nothing real. No big wins, no big losses, just a man floating on charm and other people's expectations. The wedding was in 18 days. 18 days until my daughter promised her life to someone who saw her as a ladder. Unless he proved me wrong. Unless, faced with someone he believed beneath him, Chad showed actual kindness instead of staged generosity. Unless the man Mia loved was hiding somewhere under that surface smugness. I opened Mia's contact. Her latest text was bridesmaid dresses with hearts and exclamation points. Pure joy through glass. My finger hovered over call. One word from me could shatter it. A talk about prenups and background checks and trusts could wake her up before she was ready. Instead, I typed, "Beautiful. Can't wait to see you walk down the aisle." The reply came instantly. "Love you, Dad. You're going to cry, aren't you?" "Probably," I wrote, but not for the reason she thought. I packed a modest suitcase, folding the cheap suit between unremarkable clothes. Tomorrow I'd fly coach to New Jersey and check into a budget hotel. I'd play my role one last time. Maybe, just maybe, Chad would surprise us both. The zipper closed with a final little rasp, sealing the costume inside. In the mirror, a successful man prepared to pretend to be broke. Time to learn whether love could beat greed or whether I'd watch my daughter learn the hardest lesson. BMW sedans and Mercedes coupes lined the lot at Maple Ridge Manor like a car show. My Civic looked laughable among them, which was exactly the point. 11:45 a.m. and guests in designer outfits already floated across the lawn. I sat for a second, adjusting the thrift suit. The navy jacket tugged at my shoulders, and the polyester trapped the August heat. Perfect. I grabbed a small gift bag from the passenger seat, a modest picture frame from a big box store, wrapped in generic paper. White columns gleamed against perfect lawns. Older women in pearls drifted by, while men in custom suits checked their watches. I walked through them like a ghost, noticed only when someone had to step around me. "Excuse me, are you looking for someone?" A silver-haired woman in pearls clocked my hesitation near the chairs. Her tone hinted I might be lost. "I'm the bride's father," I said quietly. Her face moved from surprise to confusion to a quick social recovery. "Oh, how lovely. You must be proud." The ceremony space hummed with whispers and silk. I took a seat in the last row, behind families I didn't know. Around me, people murmured about portfolios and European trips, while I studied the extravagant decor that likely cost more than my fake annual salary. Noon on the dot. The quartet started Pachelbel, and everyone rose like a single wave. Then I saw her. Mia glided down the aisle in ivory silk that caught the sun. My throat closed as memory flooded. Teaching her to ride a bike, late-night calculus help, her college graduation. Emily should have seen this. Chad waited at the altar in a tux that fit like it was stitched onto him. His smile was confident, possessive, as he watched his prize approach. When Mia reached him, he took her hands with practiced tenderness that made my stomach turn. The ceremony blurred. Vows, flashes, polite laughter. I watched my daughter promise her life to a man who would crush her happiness, and all I could do was clap with everyone else. "You may kiss the bride." Chad's kiss lasted exactly long enough for multiple shots. Even this was performed. As people drifted toward the reception gardens, I stayed back. The planner, a thin woman with a clipboard, approached with purpose. "Sir, are you looking for the service entrance? Staff staging is around back." "I'm a guest," I said patiently. "The bride's father." She blinked twice and checked her clipboard as if it could explain me. "My apologies. Cocktail hour is in the garden." I moved to the reception tent, past clumps of guests who glanced at me curiously and then forgot me. A bartender with a crisp jacket offered champagne. I took a glass and found a corner to watch the dance. Chad was already holding court by the head table, gesturing big, groomsmen laughing on cue. When he saw me, his expression turned theatrically warm. "Everyone," he called, voice carrying. "Meet my new father-in-law. Jack works in, what was it?" Heads turned, I raised my glass. "Renewable Energy Consulting. Small shop." "Very grassroots," Chad announced. "So important." His tone dripped honeyed condescension. A few polite nods, then faces turned away when they realized I wasn't anyone useful. Dinner started with salmon and asparagus. That would have been delicious if I could taste anything past the knot in my stomach. The final test was near. I set down my fork and walked to Chad's table. He was mid-story about his Atlantic City bachelor party. 6 groomsmen leaning in, bridesmaids picking at salads and pretending to be charmed. "Sorry to interrupt, Chad. Could I speak with you?" His laugh died. 14 eyes ping-ponged between us. "Of course, everyone, give us a sec. Family business?" He rose with exaggerated courtesy, a hand on my shoulder like we were best friends. "Don't let him talk me out of the honeymoon." Awkward laughter fluttered. Nearby tables went quiet. Perfect. I hate to ask, but my stomach's off. I kept my voice humble, a little embarrassed. "Could I get a simple bowl of soup? Nothing rich?" "Soup? At a reception?" His eyebrows jumped. "I know it's odd, but heavy food hasn't been agreeing with me. Maybe the kitchen could help?" He calculated, quickly balancing the ask against the audience. A chance to seem magnanimous while highlighting my limits. Well, I suppose we can accommodate our budget-minded guests. The pause was perfect. Let me see what I can do. Greg leaned over. Can't even handle normal food, he stage whispered to Linda. Linda picked it up. Some people don't know reception etiquette. A kind bridesmaid frowned. Maybe he's on medication? We're just used to different dining situations, a groomsman smirked. Chad basked, the generous host handling a difficult relative. Don't worry, folks. I'll take care of it. That's what family does, right? He patted my shoulder. I resisted the urge to break his hand. I smiled. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. Hey, we're family now. Can't have you uncomfortable at your own daughter's wedding. I returned to my back row table as whispers followed. The story spread. The poor father who couldn't handle real food needed special treatment. Didn't know how these events worked. 45 minutes passed, then an hour. I watched the main course come and go while my stomach actually cramped, though not from hunger. Mia glanced over, worry in her brow. At 90 minutes, I approached Chad again. He was describing a deal, swirling a wine glass. Chad, did you arrange that soup? He blinked like he'd forgotten me. Soup. Oh, right, you're a situation. He put down his wine and stood slowly, that familiar smile back. Absolutely. I made sure you'd get exactly what you deserve. Something cold crawled up my spine. The way he said deserve was heavy. That's very kind, I said. Kindness, he said loud enough for nearby tables, belongs to people who earn it. He excused himself with a flourish. I'll check right now. Don't go anywhere. The groomsman chuckled as he ducked into the kitchen. Every instinct screamed something terrible was coming, but Mia needed to see the truth. I went back to my table and waited for the show. 3 o'clock sharp. The reception had peaked. Champagne glow, easy conversation, the dance floor calling. I stood near the head table, feeling dozens of eyes. 90 minutes. 90 minutes waiting while Chad arranged my soup. Then he came out of the service doors. He carried an industrial garbage bucket, the kind for kitchen scraps. Gray plastic, dented, and full of something I could smell from 20 feet away. His walk was measured, theatrical. Conversations died. People froze. Forks midair. The quartet kept playing, oblivious. Chad came toward me, the bucket swinging. His eyes were bright with mean joy. Here's your soup, you pathetic beggar. Time slowed. I saw everything. Mia's color draining, Greg half rising, Linda's hand to her mouth. The photographer's reflexive clicks, a dozen phones lifting. The bucket's contents hit me like a cold, rotten wave food scraps. Grease, coffee grounds, vegetable peels, soaking my suit and running down my face. The smell was overwhelming. Spoiled cream and old vegetables with a metallic bite of humiliation. I didn't move. I stood there, garbage dripping, and met Chad's eyes. He was breathing hard, flushed with his performance, waiting for me to crack, cry, shout, run. Instead, I calmly wiped a coffee ground from my cheek. Well, I said in the stunned quiet, now everyone can see who you really are. The words hit him like a slap. His triumphant look flickered. Chad! Mia's scream sliced the air. She was up, pushing through bodies, her dress forgotten. Have you lost your mind? An older guest shouted. This is our daughter-in-law's father, Linda wailed, mortified. Greg grabbed his son's arm. Yeah, what have you done? But the chaos was only starting. In the back, someone pointed at me, mouth open. An older man in an expensive suit, phone in hand, face showing the instant he recognized me. Oh my, he started. Then the crowd swallowed his voice, but his fingers stayed aimed at me, and I knew my time as a poor man was over. Silence stretched 5 full seconds long, enough for me to pluck a piece of lettuce from my collar and meet Chad's stare. He was still breathing hard, still expecting me to fold. Then someone gasped. Wait a second. The older man squinted, phone already up. That's Jack Miller, he told the woman beside him, voice climbing. The renewable energy billionaire. Bright Peak Energy. He's on the Forbes list. The tent erupted. Phones flashed alive. Guests furiously Googled. That's a billion-dollar company. He drives a Tesla, not that Honda. Here's his picture and fortune. Chad's face went chalk white. His mouth opened and shut like a fish. Nothing came out. The bucket slid from his limp hands and clanged on the floor. "No," he whispered, then louder. "No, that's impossible. He drives an old car." He asked for soup. "He's poor." I stepped closer, still dripping. "Enjoy your little show, Chad?" His knees wobbled. Sweat beaded his forehead, despite the air conditioning. "Mr. Miller, sir, I had no idea." "Please, take my jacket." He tore off his expensive jacket and tried to wipe filth from me with it. A pathetic attempt to undo the undoable. "The time for courtesy is past," I said quietly. The crowd had turned. People who ignored me an hour ago stared at Chad with disgust. His groomsmen edged away like humiliation was contagious. Even his parents looked sick. "Please," Chad's voice cracked. "I'll do anything, name a price. I'll buy you a new car, a new house, anything." "Some lessons can't be bought," I said. I pulled out my phone with calm hands. This was recorded from multiple angles. "No, my attorneys will be in touch Monday." "Please," he begged. "I'll give you everything." The photographer had forgotten the wedding and was glued to us. Security hovered at the edges, unsure whether to guard me or remove Chad. Guests crowded in, phones up. By tonight, this would be everywhere. Greg pushed through, ashen. "Son, what have you done?" Linda followed, mascara streaking. "This is our daughter-in-law's father." But Chad was beyond reach, on his knees, scrubbing at my shoes with his hands. Minutes earlier, he'd humiliated me. Now he groveled in front of 100 witnesses. I scanned for Mia but didn't see her. A bridesmaid pointed toward the garden. The tent buzzed louder. Police, posts, chaos spiraling. I had what I came for. Chad showed everyone who he was. Time to find my daughter. Stone paths wound through Victorian rosebeds. Each step pulled me from the noise. I could still hear Chad calling my name, but faint now. Water trickled from a fountain ahead, masking my shoes on gravel. I picked the last coffee grounds from my hair and straightened my ruined tie. The smell would take days to wash out. It didn't matter. Then I heard crying. Mia sat on a wrought iron bench, turned away from the reception. Her dress spread like spilled cream, shoulders shaking, veil crooked, bouquet on the ground. I cleared my throat. She turned. Makeup streaked, eyes red. When she saw me, fresh tears spilled. "Daddy, I'm so sorry. I should have listened." She fell into my arms, not caring about the mess, her whole body trembling. "Sweetheart, you don't owe me an apology." But I defended him. I chose him over you. You chose love. That's what I raised you to do. She pulled back, searching my face. "Why didn't you tell me about the money? All this time, you own one of the biggest companies in the country. I needed to know whether he loved you or the idea of you." I brushed away a tear. Nay, I needed to see who he was when he thought no one important was watching. You were testing him the whole time. I was protecting you the only way I knew. New tears came, cleaner somehow. "How can you forgive me after what I said in the parking lot, calling you jealous and controlling?" "Because you're my daughter, and I love you more than my pride." I feel so stupid. You feel human. That's what makes you beautiful. We sat together, her dress billowed like a cloud. In the distance, sirens wailed. Someone had called the police. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we go home. We untangle the legal mess. We heal. I don't know how to face people. Everyone will know what happened, who I married. You married someone who hid his true nature well. That's not on you." She went quiet, processing. When she spoke again, her voice was steadier. "I want to come back to D.C. I can't stay here. Your room's exactly the way you left it. And work. I'll need a job. There's always a place for you at Bright Peak if you want it. No special treatment. You'd earn it." She leaned on my shoulder. "I missed you, Dad. I missed us. I missed us too." Sirens grew louder. Soon cops and reporters would be everywhere. We needed to go before the circus got worse. "Ready to go home?" She nodded, stood, smoothed her dress. "Can you help me get out of this?" "I never want to see it again." I laughed. My first real laugh in months. "We can arrange that." We walked to the lot, her hand in my arm. Behind us, the wrecked reception roared. Ahead, whatever came next. At the cars, Mia stopped. "Dad, is that your Tesla?" My Model S sat 20 feet away, company parking pass on the dash. Next to it, my rental Civic looked even sadder. One of them, I admitted. I've got a couple. She shook her head, half laughing, half crying. The whole performance, you really committed. Had to sell it. I opened the Civic's passenger door. One last ride in character? Why not the Tesla? This car's part of the story. Feels wrong to drop it now. As we drove away from Maple Ridge Manor, I saw the chaos in the mirror police cars, news vans, guests streaming out. Chad was probably still on his knees. Mia's phone buzzed nonstop. She glanced at it and blinked. Dad, this is everywhere already. Someone posted and it has 50,000 views. Good. Let the world see who he is. The comments people are calling you a hero. They say Chad got what he deserved. What do you think? She scrolled, quiet for a beat. I think justice looks different than I imagined. My own phone rang. My attorney, right on cue. Mr. Miller, I've seen the videos, he said over speaker at Mia's request. Clear grounds for assault and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We have multiple witnesses, footage from several angles, and a pattern of planned humiliation, he continued. This is winnable. I want consequences, not scorched earth, I said, unmeasured. Understood. Civil damages, a public apology, community service. Nothing that ruins his life permanently, but enough that he thinks twice before doing this again. Mia leaned in. What about the marriage? Can I get an annulment? Absolutely. Fraud, misrepresentation of character, emotional abuse. We'll file by Wednesday. I just want it over, she whispered. It will be, I promised, on our terms. The highway stretched ahead, city lights beginning to flicker. Mia had changed into jeans and a simple blouse we grabbed from her honeymoon suitcase. I can't believe I was so blind, she said. You saw the best in someone. That isn't blindness. How do I trust myself again? Remember that love needs wisdom, not just feeling. Character shows up under pressure, not just on good days. My phone showed 17 missed calls from reporters. I turned it off. Will you go back to Greenrism? I asked. She thought for a second. What you said about Bright Peak, did you mean it? About earning my spot? Every word. Then yes. I want to learn the business. I want to understand what you built, what I'll inherit someday. It's not just money. It's responsibility to our people, to the planet, to the future. I'm ready. The GPS showed 2 hours to the airport. We'd catch the red-eye to Los Angeles, then drive up the coast home by morning. By then, this would feel like an expensive nightmare. Dad? Yes? Thank you for protecting me, for testing him, for loving me enough to risk everything. That's what fathers do, even billionaire fathers who pretend to be broke. Especially those, she said. We drove in comfortable silence, leaving the ruins of her wedding behind. Ahead were home, healing, and whatever came next. The test was over. My daughter was coming home. That was worth any price. If you like this story, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thanks for watching.